Aaron Judge hits home run number 61, tying Roger Maris, and we waited a little bit for it. There wasn't really much concern that he would tie it and eventually break it, and he does it at Toronto. The Yankees also clinched the AL East. They win the series as well against the Blue Jays, and so this was a pretty successful series in more ways than one. Now the Yankees head home to take on the Baltimore Orioles, and the hope is that Aaron Judge can break the record at Yankee Stadium. He has 3 games to do so, and I have a feeling that he'll do it. Certainly, he'll do it by the end of the season. He has to hit 1 home run in the last 7 games, and knowing him, I think he finds a way to do it at home. It would seem fitting. Just amazing stuff, the symmetry of everything, where Roger Maris hit 61 homers in 1961. 61 years later, Aaron Judge currently ties Roger Maris with those 61 home runs. You can't really make that type of stuff up. There's even more, number weirdness, but that's the big story here. Again, the Yankees clinched the AL East. They celebrated after the second game of the series. They lost the first game. We'll talk about that. Some bad managerial decisions there, but they win game 2. They do the champagne celebration. And game 3 was a bit of a skeleton lineup. In other words, not a whole lot of starters, but the Yankees still did really well. So some of the depth pieces contributed in the third game. But for the Yankees, they're locked into the number 2 spot in the American. Well, they're not locked in the number 2 spot, but essentially that's where they're going to end up. And they will face the winner of the Cleveland Guardians series versus TBD. Likely either the Tampa Bay Rays or Seattle Mariners. There's a chance it's the Toronto Blue Jays. There is, but I think there legitimately is. But I think it would likely be Cleveland versus either Tampa or Seattle. But we'll discuss that more as that becomes more clear. But Aaron Judge, just what an amazing season. He leads the Triple Crown race, barely ahead of Luis Ariz of the Minnesota Twins. So they're both betting 313, but for Judge, it's like 313.4, whereas Ariz is 313.3. So that's a race to monitor. Xander Bogaerts had a bit of a rough week, so he's a few points behind. I wouldn't rule him out either. A lot can happen. Things can fluctuate there. So, but right now it's really Judge versus Ariz. And how great would that be? For me, once Judge hopefully breaks this record, my sights kind of are now focused on the Triple Crown. Honestly, I think if you asked Aaron Judge, I think he'd prefer 62 and winning the Triple Crown as opposed to, let's say, hitting 65 or 66 and not winning the Triple Crown. I think that's important to him. I mean, having a great batting average, it'll be tough to pull this off. But the fact that we're, less than a week away and he could win the Triple Crown is just insane. It's one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen. Aaron Judge, it's just been special. And it was cool to see Roger Maris Jr. in attendance in Toronto. He made the trip. Wasn't sure what was going to happen with that. He did make the trip. And he celebrated with Aaron Judge's mom. So a really nice scene. I would assume that the whole crew, Judge family and Maris family, at least Roger Maris Jr., will go back to New York and try to witness him breaking the record. Me personally, I've only gone to one game this year, that one 13-inning game against the Cubs. And I'm hopeful to go to this Yankee-Baltimore Friday night game with a chance to maybe witness Aaron Judge hitting a 60-second game. Currently, I don't have tickets, but I'm hopeful that I'll be there. And it would, whether it happens or not, just to be everything kind of lined up perfectly, for this moment. And so, after the Oriole episode, I'll certainly try to give my description if I do go. Again, not confirmed yet, but that's the hope. 2 days out is that I'll be there for the Friday night game. Yankees Orioles, an Oriole team that is very close to being eliminated. A really great season for them, but they're going to fall just short, and so they will be eliminated either honestly tomorrow, or in the Yankee series. There's a good chance they might be eliminated tomorrow, as a matter of fact. So it might be a freshly eliminated Oriole team, but a good team nonetheless. So, but yeah, let's talk about this Yankee Blue Jay series. Again, the big thing being Aaron Judge. I mean, we could go on and on about Aaron Judge, and it would be completely deserved. Like the recognition, he deserves it. Like, what an amazing, amazing player. And I never felt like he was struggling in this stretch. It's just not easy to hit home runs, especially when you're being walked all the time. For him and for Judge to still get it done by series end, it's impressive. There probably weren't many times where Judge went 2 straight series without hitting a homer. It may have happened a couple of times over the course of the season, but he didn't homer in the Red Sox series, and sure enough, and it's in a big spot too. It was a 3-3 game in like the 7th inning, and Judge homers, and that's the thing with him is he is just money in the crucial moments. So yeah, another just in terms of players coming back from injury, what comes to mind is DJ LeMahieu is supposed to return Friday against the Orioles. So you're kind of just ripping the Band-Aid off. Is he coming back fully healthy? No. But the hope is that he can, really contribute. We'll see what happens, honestly. My expectations are that, this is a player who really had a rough go at it before he set out. So you might see that LeMahieu again. I'm not expecting to see, peak DJ, but may as well see what can happen. And so DJ will return. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that had happened within the series. I don't believe so. Certainly not within the last few days. It'll be interesting to see the roster spot-wise. I feel bad. I guess LeMahieu might take Oswald Peraza's spot. That would seem logical, which I feel bad about. Peraza, whenever he's in there, does a really good job. And honestly, he's better than Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Whether the Yankees will tell you that or not, what they actually believe, I don't really know. But Peraza is better than Kiner-Falefa. And I do like Kiner-Falefa. I like it more so from an offensive standpoint. Like there's an element to his game that can help a team win baseball games. But defensively, he makes tough plays, but he really fucks up the easy plays just way too often. So I feel bad if Peraza has to go. But I think that's probably what you're looking at, unfortunately, for LeMahieu. But we'll see what happens there. There's always kind of a surprise injury list situation that happens, so we'll see. But Yankees versus Blue Jays is the first game, and it's Luis Severino versus Kevin Gosman. And Gosman pitched well for the Blue Jays. Really did. The Yankees kind of got to him a little bit early, and then they really shut it down offensively. And Severino pitched well, but there was a key Kiner-Falefa mistake that kind of screwed Severino when it was all said and done. The bullpen did a really nice job in this game. The bullpen gave you almost 6 innings of scoreless ball. We'll talk about why it wasn't scoreless, and this was really frustrating for me, how this game ended. But as far as the game goes, I mean, Judge starts off with a single, so Judge, kicks off the series the right way. And eventually, Gleyber Torres hits a sac fly. Gleyber Torres has been going strong, and you really hope that he can carry this into the postseason because Gleyber, we've seen he can be very streaky. Right now, he's in a very good way, and he deserves to be batting third in the lineup. Which for me, I wouldn't have thought that I would have said that about a month ago. In my mind, he really didn't even deserve to be playing. Now he is one of the Yankees' hottest hitters. So Gleyber Torres hits the sac fly, gives the Yankees a 1-0 lead. We go to the second, and Kiner-Falefa, even though he did mess up defensively, Kiner-Falefa does homer. It's his 4th homer of the year. We've seen a bit more power from Isaiah recently. Gives the Yankees a 2-0 lead. But in the bottom of the 4th, he messes up. After a Bichette single, for some reason this wasn't ruled an error. Kiner-Falefa's gotten away with that a lot this year. Vlad Guerrero Jr. singles. It's a play that was hit hard to IKF. It could have been a double play. There at least should have been 1 out made. Everyone's safe. And so then Alejandro Kirk walks. Chapman flies out, no advance. And with the bases loaded, 2-0 game, 1 out. Teoscar Hernandez hits a 2-run double. Now, Hernandez is just ridiculous. He thought he had a grand slam. It went up the top of the wall, and he's just holding his bat. And they could have got him out at second. I understand why they threw home, because they didn't think that Hernandez would pull a move like that. I believe it was Kiner-Falefa who threw it home. He could have had Hernandez out at second. It ends up being no harm, no foul. It's 2-run double. Severino gets out of further trouble. He goes those 4 innings. The line ends up not looking great, but it was a decent start for Sevy. And so it's 2-2. Lou Trevino comes on in the fifth, pitches a scoreless fifth inning, and Trevino, that's someone who I like. Again, like these Trevino and Efros, those were two additions made at the deadline that really might prove very beneficial potentially for this bullpen. Like the depth exists. The main thing for me is like when you really need to lock it down at the end of the day, they're going to have to embrace the bullpen by committee. That's the best way that it can be right now because there isn't one player that can get it done. So Trevino, good inning. Efros, good inning. He goes 1, 2, 3 in the sixth. Let's move to the bottom of the seventh. I will say Harrison Bader struggled a lot in this game. I guess actually we'll get to Bader later. He comes up, I think, in a bigger spot and doesn't come through. Again, I like Harrison Bader, but just have to call it as I see it. This was a really bad game for him. Marinaccio comes on in the seventh and gets into a little bit of trouble, a little unlucky, and Loaisiga kind of has to clean that mess. So Marinaccio, who for me, belongs on the playoff roster, but I don't. My trust in him is not the highest. There's been, whereas he was really good at one point in the season, Loaisiga cleans up the mess. And so now we head to the eighth inning. Loaisiga pitches the eighth as well, goes scoreless, so that was good. And bottom of the ninth, Clay Holmes goes 1, 2, 3. That sinker was working. All ground balls, good job by Clay. Then in the 10th, Anthony Bass comes on, and with a runner on second, Harrison Bader strikes out. Not a great at-bat by Bader. He struck out 3 times. I think playing time for him is pretty secured at this point, but look, there is a world that exists where if Bader were to struggle, that he probably wouldn't play all the time. I think for now, they're safe as far as that goes. And based on the way things are currently, that's what I hope for. But look, like, if Andrew Benintendi were to return, my opinion might change. But if it comes down to Bader or Hicks, I'd rather Bader be in there, although to be fair to Hicks, he has been better lately, but I still trust Hicks more for the right side. And it would be silly to sit Bader versus a lefty. Again, that's a conversation closer to the playoffs. But Kiner walks, then Trevino with not a great at-bat. He strikes out. And then here's where things get really interesting just from a strategic standpoint. Aaron Judge is intentionally walked with first and second 2 out, which is a risky move, but look, it's Aaron Judge. So bases loaded 2 out, and Anthony Rizzo grounds out. So it works out. Schneider makes the right call for the Blue Jays. Now on the flip side, the Yankees, which in a much easier decision than that, they fuck it up completely, and this was very frustrating. The Yankees, so Clark Schmidt is on, runner on second, tie game. He strikes out Springer, and at this point I'm thinking, maybe it makes sense to walk Bichette. They don't. He flies out, hits the ball well. They get away with it there. But I thought, maybe you walk Bichette. They don't do it. It doesn't come back to hurt them. So I figure, okay, you're definitely going to walk Guerrero. And again, I respect Alejandro Kirk. I think Alejandro Kirk is one of the more underrated players in baseball, honestly. But it's not Guerrero we're talking about here. But I mean, you don't fuck around there. But I've noticed that the Yankees don't like to intentionally walk. And it might be an analytics thing. The only thing that I could even wrap my brain around is maybe if you walk Guerrero, Kirk is someone that he also draws a lot of base on balls. So you might find yourself in an unnecessary bases loaded jam. And with Clark Schmidt, that's the only thing I could even think about. But for Boone to say pick your poison, I think he said, come on now. Vladimir Guerrero is just simply more dangerous than Alejandro Kirk. It just is what it is. So completely stupid and very concerning, honestly, for the playoffs. I really hope that, when push comes to shove, they make the proper moves. So here we are, and Vlad Guerrero, first pitch. Now, Matt Blake comes out. Matt Blake deserves blame as well. First pitch, Schmidt gives Guerrero a meatball. It's a walk-off RBI single. So that was awful. There is no excuse for that. That can't happen. The Yankees need to get more in the mode of when the intentional walk is there, you do it. And the Blue Jays intentionally walked Judge in the top half of an inning at first and second to make it bases loaded, which is a risky move when you consider, as the road team, you want to score as many runs as you possibly can. That was a very risky move that works out for them, whereas the Yankees have an easy move. Vlad Guerrero means essentially nothing other than the thing that I proposed before about maybe a bases loaded situation presenting itself, which is really minimal. And they pitched him and he hurts them. So that and we can't just chalk that up to, oh, well, the Yankees have the division basically wrapped. They hadn't even clinched the division at that point. You can't even make that excuse. So that's something to keep an eye on because I've noticed it, and it's a little concerning. So that was frustrating. Really, Boone had a lot of explaining to do, but whatever. But Blue Jays win at 3-2. It's another walk-off loss of the Yankees. The Yankees, they're the walk-off kings at home, and they're the walk-off losers on the road. They really, I think they're basically like most in both categories or something like that. Most walk-off wins, most walk-off losses. So, if you get an extra innings, better be at Yankee Stadium because if it's away from home, there's a good chance they're not going to win those. So we go to game 2. And this is where the Yankees clinched the AL East. Really nice performance by Jameson Taillon, who's pitched against the Blue Jays a lot this year and with great success against a pretty righty-heavy lineup. Taillon's done well. And, Taillon, it's been a very successful season. A nice follow-up from what was a really nice sort of second half to the 2021 season. And now Taillon will be in free agency. I don't know if he'll be back with the Yankees. There could be a fit there. I think that Taillon could probably find himself a nice contract somewhere. Obviously, there had been injury concerns, and he's kind of, tempered all those fears. So good on Taillon, and I think that we will probably see him this postseason. He kind of slots in as the number 4 starter. In no order, I guess we can order it. This isn't my order, but, Cole, Cortez, Severino, Taillon. And so Jameson Taillon, you figure, will, be a factor. And look, as a number 4 starter, that's okay. Again, there were struggles at one point, but he's righted himself. And it's good to see. So in this one, the Blue Jays take an early lead. It wasn't a good start. And Jose Barrios has been, whereas Kevin Gosman pitched really well in game 1, Barrios struggled in game 2 mightily. And so he's been a major disappointment for the Blue Jays. I don't expect to really see him have any type of role for the Blue Jays in the playoffs. It's certainly not early on in the wild card round. So George Springer hits a leadoff homer for the Blue Jays off of Taillon, gives the Toronto a 1-0 lead. But in the third, the Yankees build a little bit of a rally, and it's an Anthony Rizzo RBI single and a Gleyber Torres RBI single. So again, and Rizzo, Rizzo's really key to have back. And funny enough, Anthony Rizzo was the acting manager for Game 3. So maybe Anthony Rizzo should be the manager over Aaron Boone, 1-0 for Riz. So that was a nice touch. After winning the division, they had Rizzo. I think Nestor kind of was like almost acting pitching coach. Gleyber came out and gave him the lineup card. So that was nice. I like that. And so Rizzo, who knows, maybe Rizzo will become a future manager. But anyway, Yankees take a 2-1 lead. Taillon's cruising along in the 5th. This is kind of the Gleyber Torres night, specifically. It's another RBI single for Gleyber. Makes it 3-1. Then in the 6th, an RBI double for Aaron Hicks. So that, Aaron Hicks getting involved a bit lately. And then Gleyber does it again. It's another RBI single. So 3 separate RBI singles for Torres. Gives the Yanks a 5-1 lead. In the bottom of the 6th, Taillon runs into a little bit of trouble. But the Blue Jays run themselves. It was really defensively, just very sloppy, where Bo Bichette basically has his foot off the bag at second and kind of Falefa tags him out. That was a key play. This could have been a very big inning for the Blue Jays. It ends up in only 1 run, and Vlad Guerrero gets an RBI single, but then Aaron Hicks throws him out at second base. So Bichette with a base running miscue, and Guerrero just kind of not running out of the box. So Yankees catch a break there, and so they remain up 5-2. Taillon pitches into the 8th, where he gets into some trouble, and Lou Trevino comes on. George Springer's the tying run, and he gets Springer to ground into double play. Great job by Trevino. And what I liked is that they had Trevino pitch the 9th inning. He had only thrown 1 pitch in the 8th, and he gives up a 2-out single to Kirk. But other than that, a nice inning of work for Trevino. So it's a save of 5 outs for Lou. And I think he's really, as a Yankee, he's been pretty solid. His numbers with Oakland were bad, but this is someone that's had success before, so I like that. Of concern, Giancarlo Stanton goes 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts in this game. He did have that walk-off grand slam, but he really hasn't found it. And with Stanton, when he does, he can be lethal. But I fear that, Stanton, when he's bad, he's a real big detriment. So that's a decision right there. Look, maybe there's a world in which DJ LeMahieu is your DH. I'm just saying. It's we can't rule that out as a possibility. Stanton, I think, is at some risk of not look of not starting. I think that when it begins, I think he will. But if there's struggles there, and I feel like there might be, but if Stanton can somehow find it, he can really be dangerous. That's the thing. I mean, that just is the thing. And Josh Donaldson, it's just been ups and downs for Donaldson. It's been a down year. Defensively, fantastic. He's been so good defensively, and it's really saved him in terms of really being at risk to losing playing time. But offensively, there's been struggles there. But I think they're going to ride it out with him, and we'll see where DJ factors in. Again, I almost feel like DH for Stanton could be a thing. Again, I don't think it will, but I think it's a discussion point, if nothing else. So now we go to game 3. Keep in mind the Yankees had just clinched the AL East, and now this is Aaron Judge night. And Garrett Cole pitched, and Cole was perfect through 5. But with Garrett Cole, when he's bad, and the crooked numbers exist. It's a 3-run 6th inning after the Yankees had a 3-0 lead. So with Cole, it's just frustrating. It really is. Like, I think he tied Ron Guidry's record for strikeouts in a season tonight. It was kind of an afterthought with the Aaron Judge 61st home run. Yes, Cole ties Guidry's single season strike record. That's impressive. And he'll break that record, after his next start. So, give Garrett Cole credit for that. But I expect a lot out of him. And the home runs are always there. And just the ability to kind of hold the leads haven't been there. So, look, Garrett Cole, it's going to be a major, major playoffs for him. And kind of his reputation is kind of on the line. It really is. So, the Yankees with a really poor lineup in game 3, but they end up scratching at 8 runs. A little bit of that was because of poor defense. But really more so at the end. It was a legitimate performance for the Yankees offense. And, Mitch White was on the mound for the Blue Jays, and he's not the best pitcher, although he had some success at Yankee Stadium. So it was a lopsided matchup in the Yankees' favor, on paper for the starting pitchers. But in the first inning, the Yankees put up a 3-run inning. It's an RBI single for Josh Donaldson, RBI single for Oswald Peraza, who continues to produce, and a sac fly for Marlon Gonzalez. Makes it 3-0 Yanks. Like I said, Cole cruising. Perfect through 5. But then in the 6th, he kind of implodes a little bit. It's a leadoff homer for Danny Jansen. There's a couple of base runners on. You get an RBI single a lucky RBI single by Bo Bichette. It was not hit that hard. But then there's a balk by Garrett Cole, too. He went into his windup and just stopped. It was a clear balk. And then you get a Vlad Guerrero sac fly, ties it up at 3, and then Teoscar Hernandez lines at 10 the inning. So Cole was hit hard. It was a struggle, really struggling inning for Garrett Cole. And the game is tied at 3, but Judge bails him out. Aaron Judge off of Tim Meza after an Aaron Hicks single. Aaron Hicks, good job by Hicks. It's a 61st home run for Aaron Judge. Clears the left field wall. A total line drive, just an absolute bullet off the bat of Judge. And it gives the Yankees a 5-3 lead. So, coming through in the clutch, Aaron Judge, what more can you say? Ties Roger Maris's American League record, and really the clean record as well. Let's just be honest. And so the Yankees take a 5-3 lead. They would add another one. You get a Harrison Bader RBI single off of Garcia after Meza was taken out. So that makes it 6-3. Zach Britton comes on after Cole gets 1 out in the 7th. And with Britton, there's a couple of walks there. I don't expect him to be in the playoff roster. It's just... It reminds me of last year. The command just isn't there. I think, look, it's a valiant effort. It's a nice try by Britton to come back. I'm sure we'll see him, later in the season. But I just think for Britton, it's done. That's just me. I don't trust Zach Britton. I hope the Yankees aren't foolish enough to put him on the roster. I don't trust Chapman either. But I guess I'd rather Chapman than Britton. And, look, either way isn't great. So coming in is Zach Efros, and he is able to get out of the inning as Alejandro Kirk was the tying run, but he gets him to ground out. So nice job by Efros. We go to the 8th, and Clark Schmidt is in, and he gets into some trouble. And this is a big spot for Clark Schmidt. Look, I think Clark is going to be in some big spots in the postseason, and they're setting him up for that. So first and second, no out. He gets Guerrero to ground a double play, and then he strikes out Teoscar Hernandez. So gets into some trouble, but a really nice job to get out of it. In the 9th, the Yankees scratched at a couple of runs. It was a defensive miscue by Adam Simber. With second and third, and I think it was second and third. Yeah, and 1 out. Harrison Bader grounds out to the pitcher. And Simber, who is kind of a sidearm thrower, he's not really used to throwing what you'd call more normal. And he throws it away from the catcher. And so 1 run scores in Cabrera, and then Simber kind of was upset at himself, so he didn't cover home, and then Donaldson scores. So 2 runs score on that play, gives the Yankees an 8-3 lead, which was nice because Aroldis Chapman was going to come in with a 3-run lead. It's a 5-run lead, and Chapman actually kind of looks good. Again, I don't trust him at all. I always have to say that whenever Chapman does well, but it's a 1-2-3 inning for Chapman. The Yankees win 8-3, and now they head home. The Yankees have a 96-59 record, 4 wins away from 100 wins. So if they finish 4-3, they will hit that 100-win mark. And I'm sure they would like to do that. I don't think they'll go through hoops and ladders to do so, but I'm sure it's a number that they want to hit. So let's look at the matchups this weekend. For the Yankees, it'll be Germán, Cortez, and Severino. And for the Orioles, I just know that likely it's Austin Voth, the former National. The Orioles haven't officially announced their starters. And again, the Orioles do play the Red Sox tomorrow, so things could change. So that's why I wanted to give the Yankee starters, which is more certain, in Germán, Cortez, and Severino. And for the Yankees, it's all about Judge this series. Look, like I said, you want to get to the 100-win mark, but it's not a huge deal, honestly. It doesn't change their standing. And so Aaron Judge, let's see, can he break this record at home? I have a good feeling that he will. Just the way that things have gone, how could it be any other way that Judge wouldn't break this record in the Bronx? And so this will be very exciting. Orioles come to town, and all eyes are on Aaron Judge as he looks to break Roger Maris's 61 home run record, which he's now tied in, and he looks to stand alone atop the clean and American League home run record.